This is going to be for Path to Nowhere, PTN. Apparently there's an article written about it in Korea. So let me Google translate it and see what this is all about. So I'm curious what they say is this drama inside Korea. Okay, very important. From Shining Nikki to Mugi Mido is the trap of Chinese games bursting. Mugi Mido is PTN. Okay, from Shining Nikki to PTN. So there's also an analysis that the Chinese subculture game Mugi Mido and suspicions related to the game company, which is controversial in the Northeast project, have maximized the risk inherent in Chinese games. So PTN is Mugi Mido in KR, is it? Xin Guang Real correspondent. The domestic service of the Chinese subculture game Mugi Mido faced a crisis that could be discontinued. The controversy related to Aisno games. They spell Aisno wrong. It's Aisno, right? A Chinese game company that provides Mugi Mido is growing out of control, but the game company is not giving a satisfactory answer to users and aggravating public opinion. Wait, what does it mean? This game is growing out of control. It's like getting massive, is it? But there's not enough satisfactory answers. On the 13th, the suspicion arose that Aisno Games, a Chinese game company that services Mugi Mido, was closely related to Paper Games, which was involved in the controversy over the Hanbok Northeast project. It was because the subject of the game was described as Paper Games in Mugi Mido's first published material, and the Korean office location, phone number, and email address domain of Aisno Games were the same as Paper Games. So they spell Aisno Games differently, but yeah, or for those of you who don't know, PTN, right? Path to Nowhere is under this is the publisher. So I don't know, the publisher is new, right? And let's be real, a lot of people maybe have they don't have track record. So this is the publisher, Path to Nowhere, you can see is Aisno Games, right? And you can see PTN is their only game. They never published any other games before. So a little bit of suspicion that they are related. Their office location, phone number, email address, domain is the same as another company. Is it Paper Games? The situation escalated as it was revealed that the game Shining Nikki, which was served by Paper Games, was designated as a forbidden language within the game. This controversy did not come to the fore as Mugi Mido succeeded in the box office in the early stages and gained positive reviews among users. So Mugi Mido again is PTN. Paper Game, which became the center of controversy, was a company in charge of cosmetic service for the Chinese styling game Shining Nikki. Paper Games released hanbok costumes to commemorate the launch of Shining Nikki Korean service in 2020, when China was openly conducting the Northeast project, abandoned. As dissatisfaction among domestic users intensified due to this, Paper Games said, "I agree with the view that hanbok is Chinese clothing." The service was terminated unilaterally, leaving a notice close to abusive language, saying, "I've exceeded the limit. Even in the process of ending the service, it is known that the refund and compensation procedures did not proceed properly." Shining Nikki's service termination. Are you guys familiar with this game? Shining Nikki is a different game, right? I didn't know it's shut down. So if you guys are not aware, it's a dress-up game. Are they talking about this one? Shining Nikki by Paper. Most of you guys might not know because this is a dress-up game, right? So it's very different. You can see right here. Okay, I'm going to try my best to explain what is happening. So Shining Nikki apparently released a game, and Shining Nikki was not, apparently this game was not well received. That's why it shut down. I'm going to assume. It shut down in KR. It didn't really say. It's still here on Google Play though. So this is under Paper Games, right? And then Aisno Games apparently is a parent company of this game, Paper Games. It seems like that's what they are saying at least. And this game shut down due to a lot of controversial reasons. For example, they say stuff like hanbok is Chinese clothing, it seems. And they just shut down without refunding and compensating players properly. Obviously, it shuts down in KR when they said hanbok is a Chinese clothing. Yeah, so it's this is one of the termination notice. So let me see if I can translate this. What does it say? Let me see. What's regrettable and outrageous is that even after we announced the dismantlement of the controversial costume set, some accounts still pour out radical media, insulting China several times, eventually crossing our last limit. As a Chinese company, we resolutely reject such speech and behavior and uphold the dignity of the country. Accordingly, we have decided to end the Korean service version for Shining Nikki. The following is the information regarding the end of service. So announcement of termination of date service. So game and download payment will be blocked at November 6, 2020. Service and end date is December 9th, 2020. So basically, Shining Nikki shut down in Korea because they say something very controversial. They say hanbok is a Chinese clothing. So hanbok is this thing. So do you guys think hanbok is a Chinese clothing? Hanbok. What do you guys think? Hanbok The handbook Korean is a Korean clothing. Okay, it's a Korean clothing. So when you say something like, oh no, this is a Chinese clothing, can you see how that can be offensive to Korean people, right? It's offensive for us. We might not care that much. I mean, if you're not from Korea, you might not care, which is fine. But maybe it's like some people, they think it's offensive to their tradition, maybe in a way. So it's very controversial. You shouldn't say stuff like that, right? It could be religious as well. I'm not sure. Handbook is Korean, confirmed by Wikipedia. Handbook these nuts. Oh, chill. So when this game, so you can see when a game come out and say stuff like, oh no, handbook is a Chinese clothing. So of course that's gonna cause players unhappy, right? And then what will happen here? Like immediately, of course, some players are going to start harassing you because you say something very controversial. So they got harassed to the point that they have to shut down. Okay, they have to shut down. They have no choice but to shut down, which is why this game Shining Nikki is no longer in Korea. Alright, it got shut down in Korea. But how does this relate to PTN? Again, PTN in Korea, Mugi Mido, you can see how players are suspecting that Path to Nowhere is related to Ice No Games. Apparently is a parent company of Paper Games. So I'm not too sure about that. There's no proof, but so far their proof is based upon, they say that the Korean office location, the phone number, the email address of Ice No Games were the same as Paper Games. So players were suspecting it's the same developer behind PTN. So even if PTN is a good game, people don't like this company because they have said something controversial before. Does that make sense? So it's not because the game is bad. It's just because this company have done something, said something like that's very offensive to them in the past. And yeah, I'm trying to look at the style. I can see like the Shining Nikkis do have a similar art style to PTN to a certain case. So let's see what is the issue here. As the controversy grew out of control, Ice No Games posted a statement on the official cafe on the 14th saying, "We hired some of Paper Games' Korean branch staff at one time for a smooth service." Okay, so Ice No Games, remember Ice No Games is PTN developer, hired this company, which is Paper Games, which is Shining Nikki's developer. Apparently they say that they're not related, they just hired them. However, this did not provide a proper answer to users' questions, and public opinion worsened even more as the statement emphasized. Thank you to the management of Paper Games for their efforts in localization. So they hired, Ice No Games hired Paper Games to localize. For localization, users cry, Chinese game, how do you believe now? It was confirmed that Paper Games personnel were in charge of Mugi Mido, which is PTN's service, and the related community became a house of mourning. This is because when conflicts between Korea and China, such as controversy over China's Northeast project. I'm not familiar with this. I'm not familiar with what China's Northeast project is, but apparently it's like some heated stuff between these two countries, China and Korea. So it can be very, I'm not sure, right? I have no comment. I have no idea what that is. Flared up in earnest, such as the Shining Nikki incident, the possibility that the management team could openly side with the Chinese government, hostile users, and terminate the service has become visible. So Mugi Mido, again PTN in particular, introduced full Korean dubbing and was welcomed by domestic users. And the game itself was well received and was cruising along. This is the reason why the disappointment felt by users is so great that it cannot be compared to Shining Nikki. One user who requested anonymity said, "I feel like I've been hit hard in the back of the head from the point of view of loving the game. To be honest, I don't trust Chinese games in general anymore." He expressed disappointment and disbelief. Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of people don't like Chinese games, or they think that Chinese games are related to the government. I can see the point of view. So even some Korean players have that mindset. So there's that, right? You can never run away from conspiracy theory and stuff, no matter what. Like even Genshin, some people say it's a conspiracy theory, or it's under the government or whatever. MiHoYo is spying. Oh, don't install Genshin. You know, it's always there. Like no matter what game you are, if you are famous, there's always conspiracy theory. It's tough, all right? Chinese game, there's always, I don't think it's just like, people always look at, yeah, maybe just Chinese game in particular always get on people's aware lists. More so compared to other games. Another user who deleted Mugi Mido's account in the wake of this incident said, "If there is an operational problem in the domestic game, you can expect that the problem will be solved by sending a truck or holding a meeting. But this situation will come later. As long as China exists, I don't even see that possibility." There is also an analysis that the risk inherent in Chinese games has been maximized. In China, the CCP controls everything, and even the gaming industry is no exception. In other words, there's a risk that the service can be terminated at any time if the Chinese government goes against the planting. Planting. Even at the time of Shining Nikki incident, the account that posted the problematic notice was a different account from the previous notice. And unlike the previous notice, some awkward sentences and punctuation marks were seen, suggesting that there was external pressure for the sudden termination of the service and got this persuasion. In particular, relatively small Chinese game companies have no choice but to pay more attention to the Chinese government than to the users. Yeah, that's true, right? Like if you are a small Chinese company, you have no choice but to favor whatever rule that the government has in China. Even though your game might be global or whatever, you will always need to... That's why censorship or whatever, some people don't like it, which fine, is fair to always voice out against censorship, but sometimes they have to censor it in China. But then I think some company, maybe they're lazy, they don't want to make too many versions. It's not just small companies though. I think it's much more of a smaller company problem than a bigger company, right? If you are bigger, it's easier for you to get away because you can easily make a subsidiary company. Like for example, I've seen Hoyoverse do this with what is the other company that's in Singapore under Hoyoverse? I forgot the name. Hoyoverse, MiHoYo, there's one more name. Cognosphere, right? I think it's that one, Cognosphere. I've seen this with Tencent as well. Tencent has a different company outside under Proxima Beta. If you are rich, you can easily like sort of bypass that in a way. Yeah, unless if you're a small company, you are more susceptible to this. This problem is particularly fatal in the game industry, where communication between users and continuous and stable operation are important. With this situation as an opportunity, domestic users' anxiety about overall Chinese games is expected to continue for a while. Wow. What do you guys think of this issue? I mean, it's not really a drama, but there's nothing happening yet, right? But it's just something that people are bringing up. It's just more of an issue in KR. I don't think it affects the global of PTN. Alright, global PTN is fine. It's just a KR server. I'm not sure how much they are earning from Korea. So yeah, something to take note of. Hopefully nothing happens to PTN. Hopefully it's a very good game, right? Hopefully everything goes well. Good luck, Ice No Games, you'll need it.